Hello, this is AnlineOffline. Welcome back to another casuals quick guide to Call of Duty Mobile. For today's video, we'll be covering the 50GS. Introduced in Season 12 of 2020, along with the AGR-556, the 50GS is a handgun from Modern Warfare 2019. The description claims that it's semi-auto, but in COD Mobile such weapons function as slow-firing automatics. It's undoubtedly the Desert Eagle, and has appeared in the first Modern Warfare trilogy, COD Online, and 2022. The latter also featured the full-auto Thunderbird as the GS Magna machine pistol. Elsewhere, the Desert Eagle appeared in Black Ops Cold War and 6 as the hand cannon streak, functioning like the Annihilator.
Goodbye, Captain Price.
Historically, if you wanted to shoot high-caliber handgun rounds, your only options were Magnum revolvers and the Automag. The invention of the Desert Eagle is credited to Bernard C. White of Magnum Research, with Arnold Streinsbergs patenting a handgun design with a rifle's gas operation and rotating bolt. IMI Systems was contracted to build and refine the design. Over the years, production would shift back and forth between Israel and the US. The Mark I was originally chambered in .357 Magnum, and later .44. The Mark VII included .41 Magnum and eventually .50 Action Express. The current Mark XIX is available in more cartridges and has rails for modularity. Technically, it is adopted by the Polish GROM and Portuguese GOE. To what extent is unknown, as its weight, small mag size, and price makes it essentially impractical in a combat scenario. However, its imposing size and flashy finishes makes it iconic on screen. It's one of the most powerful handguns in the world, but there are more powerful 50 caliber revolver cartridges, such as 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, Bushwhacker, Linebaugh Maximum, Wyoming Express, and 12 7x55. Back to COD Mobile. Base damage per shot is high, killing in 2 shots at close to mid-range and killing in 3 shots beyond that. The fire rate is slow at 164 rounds per minute, thus it has a base effective range of 25 meters. And because it's an older weapon in this game, it still hit scan. Headshots are 50% extra damage and can one-shot in its first range. One headshot is enough to reduce the number of shots back down to 2 at its final range. Like the other pistols, the Desert Eagle has access to trigger attachments that alter its fire rate. Lightweight trigger increases its fire rate to 205 rounds per minute with no drawbacks and is the most useful. Match grade increases your fire rate to 183 and slightly improves your bloom but hurts your hipfire. The least effective trigger is heavy duty. It improves your bloom but slows your fire rate to 137 and it no longer has a base effective range. In terms of mobility, the 50GS is standard for a pistol. However, it has no attachments to improve movement speeds just like the Renetti, and it doesn't even crack the top 20 fastest sprint speeds. Swap times aren't the slowest in the class. The base mag size is 7 and can be extended to 10 and 13. Reload cancelling is possible and can shave off more than half a second. As for accuracy, the ADS Bloom is the second best in the pistol class, on par with ARs and only behind the Renetti. The fire spread is standard for a pistol. The iron sight is minimalist and very easy to use. In real life, the Desert Eagle in 50AE does not have beginner-friendly recoil, but in mobile, our 50GS is easily manageable. The flinch is standard for its class and high overall. When it comes to Akimbo, the 50GS is an outlier compared to other Akimbo weapons. It still does the usual pros and cons, such as doubling your ammo, slowing your mobility and fire rate, removing your ADS and locking you to hipfire only, thus removing strafing, slide cancelling and reload cancelling. But unlike the others, it doesn't hurt your reload times, swap times, or range. Instead of improving hipfire like other Akimbos, max hipfire spread is made worse by 46%, and this new base is on par with LMGs and shotguns. You may waste a full mag and a half trying to kill someone just outside of slide melee range. The in-game stats may say that it doesn't hurt your damage, unlike other Akimbos, but they're wrong, and it actually reduces it to 60, 45, and 40. The individual fire rate of each gun is about 15% slower, or the interval between shots is 17.8% longer, and this scales with the trigger attachments. Because the fire rate is so slow, Akimbo essentially functions like a 2-round burst weapon with a delay that ranges from 33 to 59 milliseconds. Sprinting and walking are reduced by 8%, or on par with the base Peacekeeper and Growl. So, I would recommend switching to your grenade to run faster instead. Compared to other deagles in Call of Duty, our damage is most similar to COD4 Modern Warfare with stopping power, but without the 1200 RPM fire rate cap. No, our fire rate is the slowest in the franchise, most similar to Modern Warfare 2 2022. The deagle in the original Modern Warfare 2 wasn't as good as the first, with misaligned iron sights, but Akimbo made it somewhat fun. Modern Warfare 3, less so because it dealt less damage. It would take 8 years for the deagle to return in 2019, where it was a top tier pistol, but was usually overshadowed by the Burst Renetti and Snakeshot 357. In 2022, it was a pseudo DMR with an infinite 2-shot kill. Before the deagle's release in mobile, we had only 2 options for handguns, the 1911 and 357 Magnum. Not only did the deagle become the best pistol, but Akimbo invalidated the existence of SMGs and nerfed shotguns. The only other gun that could outslay it in CQB was the Akimbo Fennec, which only lasted 1 month. The deagle, on the other hand, continued to be the meta secondary for months. The first nerf to its Akimbo damage and reload times wasn't effective. The second nerf to its Akimbo mobility, fire rate, and hipfire spread ended its reign and was condemned to eternal irrelevance. Akimbo remained a forgotten concept until the release of the Dobra and machine pistols. In all of that time, our deagle hardly changed. The swap times were probably buffed in 2022. It had optimized sound effects in 2023. But the addition of bullet impact made it less effective as a pocket DMR against LMGs and heavy ARs. And as of this year, it doesn't help that the release of Overkill as a wildcard threatened its value as a secondary. The only gun similar to our Desert Eagle is our version of the 357. It's been a while since I talked about it, but the difference between the two is power and speed. The Deagle has more range, while the J3 can drop to a 4-shot from afar. The J3 has a much faster fire rate and potential mobility. The Deagle has more ammo and faster reload times, while the J3 can only reload cancel with live rounds in the chamber. The J3 has less actual recoil, but the Deagle has steadier visual recoil with an easier iron sight. If you want an aggressive secondary that can move fast, then I'd go with the J3. Otherwise, the Deagle is better for a pocket DMR. With stopping power, it gets more complicated. J3 now has more range while maintaining a slightly faster fire rate, and now has the potential to one-shot to the above chest multiplier within slide melee range. Still, the Deagle is preferable due to its larger magazines, iron sight, and access to suppressors. So, what can we suggest for the Deagle to feel new again? As a mechanic, I'm not the biggest fan of bullet impact, but 50 Action Express should pack more of a punch than 9mm. This might be controversial, but Akimbo should be given a second chance as an anti-melee weapon. I suggest scaling back the hipfire penalty. With this, if you use both the light flashcard and a hipfire laser, you can get a spread on par with the base solo version, improving your odds of one-tapping. If we take a look at the MW11, it can actually hit its targets. It would also help if your movement wasn't punished severely like the machine pistol. Anything more than this, and we can make a case that it could be banned from ranked, whenever that's supposed to come. My last suggestion is a signature attachment in the form of an integrated grip barrel that converts it into the GS Magna from 2022. It'll increase your fire rate to a full auto 484 rounds per minute and reduce flinch. In exchange, it'll lock access to trigger attachments and drastically nerf your damage to the point of turning it into a 3 to 5 shot kill to the body. Since it's a barrel, your options for range boosting will be limited, and there's going to be a lot of visual recoil because the deagle isn't meant to be fired this quickly. You also don't have much ammo per mag. Considering Akimbo, the damage will be reduced to a 4 to 5 shot kill. Now you might wonder, why not just add the GS Magna itself? I'd rather have it as an attachment instead of an entirely separate weapon, because one of the reasons why I don't like Modern Warfare 2 2022 is that a lot of their guns are just the same but in different calibers or different firing modes. In 2019, you had individual weapons with playstyle altering attachments, and that saved space for more unique weapons instead of, say, taking the SPR-208 and splitting it into 4 separate guns for the sake of quantity over quality. But hey, that's just my opinion. This has been a Casual's quick guide. Feel free to suggest what weapons you want to see covered next. My name is An, and I'm off.